In my previous presentation, I have already introduced about the list data type of Python. In this presentation, I'm going to show you the list function and methods that are commonly used. First of all, let me show you how to find the size of the list, that is to calculate the number of elements within a list. For that, you have to use a len function. Len function is used to find the length of the list. Let me consider a list, say A equal to 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. Now to find the length of a list or to count the number of elements within a list, we are going to use a len function. So len within bracket the list name and then enter. So it will give you 5. That means there are 5 elements within the list. Python offers many built-in functions and methods for the list manipulation. I will show you one by one. Every list object that you create in Python, for example, here is A, is actually an instance of list class. You need not to do anything specific for this. Python does it for you. You have to know the name of the list methods and functions only and how to use them. Next, adding element to a list. So there are 3 ways to add element into a list. The first one is the append function. So by using this method, we can add a single element at the end of the list. It takes only one argument. Let me show you. First of all, let me create a list first. Say A equal to 10, 20, 30. So this is an existing list. To add an element at the end of this list, we are going to use the append function. So let me show you how to do this. So just write down a dot append. Since it's take only one argument, let me write a single argument, say 40 within parentheses, then give enter. And now display the list A. So a new element 40 is added at the end of the list. So after 30, 40 has been added. You can also add a list at the end of this list. So for that, you have to write a dot append within bracket. Let me write a list over here, say 1, 2, 3. Third bracket close and the parenthesis close. Next, give enter, print the list. So now look, this list 1, 2, 3 has been added at the end of the existing list A. So this is what you call a nested list. A list within a list is called a nested list. The next method of adding element is the insert method. Add an element at any position within the list. It takes 2 arguments, the position and a value. So in this case, you can specify your position where the value is going to be inserted. Let me take this list as a reference. So A equal to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. In list, the first position is at the 0 index. The second position is identified by 1 index. The third position is identified by 2 index and so on. So let me insert an element at 3 index. Let me write down 3. So the first argument is the index and the second argument is the value that you are going to insert. So let me write 100 as a value. Now give enter and print the list. Since I have written index 3, that means the data is going to insert at the 4th position. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3. So in the 3rd position, 100 has been inserted. So the list will be look like this. Again, I am repeating that insert method takes 2 arguments. The first one is the index and the second one is the value. Here I have written index 3, that means the value will be added at the 4th position. Next, another way of adding element is the extend method. By using this method, you can add multiple elements at the end of the list. Let me show you an example. The extend method accepts list as its argument. That means, let me create a list 1 with say 10, 20 and 30. Now, let's create another list, say list 2 equal to say 40, 50 and 60. If I want to add this list at the end of list 2, for that let me write list 2 dot extend and since it's take a list as an argument, so I am specifying list 1 as its argument. So list 1 within this bracket and then give enter. Now if you print list 2, it will add all the elements of list 1 at the end of list 2. Next, let me show you the difference between the append function and the extend function. First of all, let me create two lists, say a equal to say 1, 2, 3 and b equal to say 7, 8, 9. So these are my two lists. Now if I write a dot append within brackets say b, look what happened. Print the list A, the whole list B is added at the end of list A. Now if I write b dot extend within bracket say 10, 20. Since extend method accept list as its argument, so I have to write this 10, 20 within a list. Now if I press enter, look what happened. If I print this B, look, each of the element 10, 20 is now become the individual element of list B. Append function adds one element to a list. Extend can add multiple elements from a list supplied to it as argument. So during program you will decide what to do. If you want to add complete list within another list and to make it a nested list, for that you are going to use a append. By using this append method you can also add a single element also. But when you add more than one element at a time, you have to use the extend method. And be careful, extend method always accept a list as its argument. So whatever the elements that you are going to add at the end of the list, that must be within a list. Otherwise the extend will not work. So if you write b dot extend and if you write simply a 10, then it will give you an error because int object is not iterable, it is not acceptable over here. So extend always accept a list as its argument. Next, let me show you how to remove elements from the list. So removing element from a list, there are two ways of removing element from the list. The first one is the remove. This remove method removes a specific element from a list. Removes one element at a time. Remove the first occurrence. If the same element occur multiple times, it will remove the first occurrence only. So let me show you an example. First of all, let me create a list, say a equal to 10, 20, 30, 40. So this is my list A. Now I want to remove an element from this list. For that, let me specify the list first, then dot. By using this dot operator, we are going to access the method. So this is the remove method, remove, and within bracket you have to specify the value that you are going to delete. Suppose I want to delete 20. So it will remove 20 from this list. Print A, you will get 10, 30 and 40. 20 has been removed. Now let me create another list, say A equal to 10, 20, 30, 10, 50, again 20, then close the list. Now I want to delete the 20. So for that, a dot remove within bracket 20. Now press enter, print the list A. Look, the first 20 has been deleted. The next occurrence is still there. So the remove method accept an element as its argument and delete the first occurrence within the list. Suppose you want to remove an element which is not within the list. So what will happen? It will show you an error, list remove x is not in the list. X is the parameters or the value that you have given in the remove method. So it is not in the list. So it will give you an error. The second way of removing element is the pop method. It deletes element by index. That means you have to specify the index. By default, if you do not specify anything, it will delete the last element of the list. Let me show you an example. So this is a list which contains 10, 20, 30, 40 and so on. And now if I write a.pop, so this pop function by default it will delete the last element, that is 90. So give enter, then print A. Look, 90 has been deleted. So pop function returns the deleted item. And then if you print the list, look, 90 is not there, it has been deleted. Now suppose you want to delete 30. So 30 is in the index 2, 10 is in the index 0, 20 is in the index 1, and 30 is in the index 2. So now you want to delete 30. So for that you have to write a dot pop 2. Whenever you specify the index within the pop value, it will pop the particular index, that is 30 in this case. So look what happened. Give enter, it will return 30. So it delete the third position. 2 means the third position because it start from 0. The index start from 0. The list will look like this. The final list does not contain 30. So pop removes an element from the given position in the list and return it. If no index is specified, it removes the last element. Suppose you have a blank list, say b equal to third bracket open close. Now if you write b dot pop, so nothing to delete over here, so it will give you a index error which is written as pop from empty list. So again I am repeating, the pop method removes an individual item and returns it, while the remove searches for an item and remove the first matches item from the list. The other list methods are index. It returns the index of the first matched item from the list. Let me take this list as an example. Now I want to see the index of 30. So for that I have to write a dot index and 30. So it will return 2. This index function returns the index of the first matched item from the list. If 30 occurs several times, it will return the index of the first 30, that is the first occurrence. If you try to find the index of a value which is not within the list, it will give you an error which is called a value error. 100 is not in the list. The next method is the clear method. Clear method removes all item from the list. Suppose I have a list like this, a equal to 10, 20, 30. If you print a, it will give you 10, 20, 30. If I write a dot clear first bracket open close, then again I'm going to print this a, it will show you nothing. That's mean the list has become empty. To remove all the list element, you can use this clear method. Next, count. It counts the number of elements within a list. The count function returns the count of the item that you have passed as argument. If the given item is not in the list, it returns 0. First of all, let me create a list of 10, 20, say 30, again 20, 40, 50, again 20, then 60. Suppose I want to count the number of 20 within the list. So for that, a dot count within brackets, say I am writing 20 as an argument. So it will find out how many 20s are there within the list. So if I press enter, it is giving 3. So that's mean there are 320 within this list. This is the number 1, this is the first occurrence, second occurrence, and the third occurrence. So the count of 20 is 3. So it is returning a 3 as its value. Now if I count value which is not present within the list, it will return 0. The next method is reverse. It reverses a list. This is done in place, that is, it does not create a new list. So this is a list A which contains 10, 20, 30 and 40. Now if I write a dot reverse, then let me print the list. Look, 40 comes first, then 30, then 20, then 10. So by using this reverse method, you can reverse a list and it is permanent. It is not creating a new list. Next method is sort. Sort method sort the list in ascending order. By default, it sort the list in ascending order. Let me create a list in a haphazard manner. Say I'm writing 10, then 45, then 23, then minus 10, then 5, then 89 and 60. Now I'm going to sort this list. For that I have to write a dot sort first bracket open and close, then give enter. Now if I print this list, it will give me the minimum value at the beginning, then the second minimum, and so on. Look, the list has been sorted in ascending order. Now if I want to display the same list in descending order after sorting it, if I reverse the list, that's mean a dot reverse, I will get the list in descending order. Both the method reverse and sort does not return anything. Next, copy. it returns a copy of the list. Let me demonstrate this copy method by using an example. First of all, let me create a list1 equal to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if I write list2 equal to list1, then give enter, and if you print list2, it will give you the same list where the list1 is pointing. If I print the ID of list1, it is giving you some ID in an integer format. Now again, if I print ID of list2, it will give you the same ID. That's mean list2 and this list1 instance are pointing to the same list. That's why both of their IDs are identical. That is, no copy of this list has been created. So there is a single copy of this list, and list1, list2 instances are pointing to the same memory location, and that's why it is giving you the same ID. Now, if I write list3 equal to list1 dot copy and then give enter, if you print list3, it will give you the same list, but this is a separate copy of list1. Now if I print the ID of list3, look, it will give you a different ID. That's mean a different list has been created and list3 instance is pointing to that list. So it is very clear from this example that list1 and list2 are pointing to a single copy of a list, but list3 is pointing to another copy of the list 1 or the existing one. That's why its ID is completely different. Apart from these methods, there are several built-in functions are there. Let me discuss some of them. First one is the sum function. It's sum of all the numbers in the list. Let me create a list first. Now if I want to find the sum of all the elements of this list, for that I have to write sum within bracket the list. So sum will accept the list as an argument and then press enter. It will return 60. Look, 10 plus 20, 30, 30 plus 30, 60. So it will return 60. Now the next function is the max. Max return the maximum element of a list. Now if I write max of A, it will return 30 because 30 is the maximum value, or you can say the largest value in the list. In the same way, there is a min function which will return minimum element of a given list. Let me show you over here min. Let me write down A as my argument, and it will return 10 because 10 is the smallest element within the list. Next, any. This is quite useful and widely used in Python program. This any function returns true if any element of the list is true. Let me show you it with an example. One more thing, any returns false if empty, or all false, or all are false. You can think it as a OR operation. Now look here, A is initialized with some value 10, 20 and 30. That's mean it contains some value. If I write any of A, it will return true. Next, let me clear all the values of list A, and now A is empty. Now if I write any of A, it will return false because the list is empty. Let me initialize a list as say true and false. These are the Boolean values. Now the list A contains true and false. If I write any of A, it will return true because if any one of the value is true, it will return true. If a list contains all false value, then only any will return false value. Along with this any method, there is another method which is very important, that is the all. All method return true if all the element of the list is true, or if the iterable is empty. All can be thought of as a sequence of AND operation. Let me show you an example. Suppose I am considering a list which has all its element as true, and if I write all A, it will return true because all the element of this list is true. I can also write like this. Suppose it contains some numeric value, and if I write all of A, so it will give you true. Now if I write A equal to say true, comma false, comma true. Now all the elements are not true. If I write all of A, it will return false. So to get the true output in case of all method, all the element of the list must have to be true. And finally, let me show you one interesting thing. Suppose I am creating a blank list, and if I write all of A, it will return true. So be very careful about this scenario, that in case of an empty list, all will return true. Now here I have written a truth table for any and all. Look, for all true the values, in case of any it will return true, and in case of all it will also return true. Now in case of all falsy values, that's mean the list contains all false values. That's mean there is no true value over there. That's why any will return false and all will also return false. In the third case, any one true the values, that's mean any one of the value within the list is true, and for that any method returns true, but all will return false. In case of any one false values, among all the list element, any one of the list element is false. Since others are true, that's why any will return true, but in case of all it will return false. And look at the last row. This is quite interesting. In case of empty list, any return false and all returns true. So this is all for this video. I'm going to show you all the practical example by using these methods in separate videos. If you have any query, please write it down in the comment box. I will try to reply you back as soon as possible. Thank you.